Looked like a World War or something, you know, everything had been blown to pieces and stuff. It was just hard to believe, you know, the amount of destruction and stuff. Well, at that time, I was living out there at Midway Trailer Park with my mom and dad. My dad had the truck stop up at 1520. He was operating that, and I worked for him part-time when I was going to school. And on the Sunday, the tornado come through, I had the day off. And so my girlfriend and I was going to go to the movie that night. And I turned around and I was up at the truck stop and with her, and I left driving my dad's 56 Cadillac, and we was going out to the Midway Trailer Park because my mom had just got a new car, a 64 Nova, and we wanted to switch and get that car and go to the movie and that and stuff. Before we ever got all the way to there, we could see all kinds of debris all over the place and stuff hanging up in the trees, and couldn't figure out what was going on because I didn't know anything about tornado coming. And when I got there and finally realized that a tornado had actually hit, my mom's trailer was upside down, and Leonard Spagoots, the guy that owned the mobile home park at the time, he turned around and stopped me because I couldn't pull all the way into the trailer park with the car. And I went over to my mom's trailer, and like I say, it was upside down, and I broke the windows out so I could get in to help her out. And as soon as I got her out of the trailer, Leonard Spagoots, the guy that owned the trailer park, got the first ambulance there, and my mom and my fiance, they headed over to Elkhart Hospital, and they took them in right away. Well, right as soon as that was over, I turned around and drove my dad's Cadillac back up to the truck stop to get him, to let him know what was going on. But by the time I got there, I found out he had already heard what was going on, and he had left there and rode back to Goshen with a customer. My brother Mike Gresso, he turned around and took off with the Cadillac, drove through what was Jefferson Place there, and flattened all 4 tires trying to get back to town and stuff. And there was 2 waitresses working up there at the truck stop at the time, and one of them had one of her sisters there and stuff. So I didn't know anything about a tornado coming. I heard something to the rumor, but I didn't really know for sure. So I turned around and put all 3 girls down in the basement and turned around and shut off all the breakers and stuff so it cut all the power off to the gas pumps and everything else. And I turned around, and since I didn't have the car to go on, I had just bought a motorcycle about a month earlier and didn't even have insurance on it because it wasn't summer yet. So I thought maybe I could get on the motorcycle and outrun it. I turned around and started and got no farther than across the intersection, and the wind got so strong because the tornado was so wide that it just looked like a rain cloud hanging down on the ground. So I just couldn't keep the motorcycle up, so I laid it down and grabbed hold of a tree where I was at, and this would have been on the southeast corner of the intersection at that time. And the tree came out of the ground, roots and all, and I slid off of it, and I turned around and slid into a stop sign that was embedded into the asphalt. And that's the last thing I remember because I had a crash helmet on at the time, but this is where it split my head wide open, cut me all across there, and almost severed my leg off and everything else. I didn't wake up till at least 5 days later in the hospital, and I was there for probably better than 2 weeks before they released me. And the only way they would release me is if I had a registered nurse staying with me and stuff. So by this time, I turned around and went back home, and this registered nurse, a male nurse, stayed with me and stuff, helped me along and stuff. And probably 2 months later, they took me over to South Bend because they was going to do plastic surgery on this. But when the surgeon got in there, they had to peel the scalp back to get all the debris out of there. And they turned around and said they couldn't do any plastic surgery on me. But anyways, when I got caught in the tornado up there, like I say, I didn't know anything about what was going on and stuff. And I found out later that a couple of cops had picked me up because they found the motorcycle still turned on with the lights going, and they threw me in the trunk of a cop car. And they took me out to the morgue out to the Goshen Hospital and stuff, and had me, I guess, laying in the hallway someplace, and just, you know, they just assumed I was dead. So I guess my brother just happened to be going through, and my face and head was twice the normal size. My whole body was just bloody and everything because every part of my body had been hit with sand and sandblasted, and I was just swollen up. And like I say, the cut across here almost got the jugular vein, and this up here busted out a piece of the skull where you could actually look down into my brain and see the brain there and stuff. And the leg was just hanging on there, barely hanging on. They said I'd never walk again. So anyways, I mumbled something or other, and it caught my brother's attention, and he realized who it was there. and then they realized I was awake, so they got me into a hospital room, and from what I understand, they brought in a priest and gave me my last rites because they figured I was going to die anyways. A couple years after it happened, I was talking to one cop that was there, the one that threw me in the trunk of the cop car, and they said they thought I was dead. That's all there was to it, you know. Like I say, I had the crash helmet on when I come off of that tree and hit that thing, but if I'd had my crash helmet on, they said it would have probably pulled my head right off and stuff, but as is, it cut my skull wide open and my neck almost severed the jugular vein and everything. Just by my brother Mike walking by and stuff, because they were going through examining people that were laying there and stuff, trying to identify people because there were so many people that, you know, they didn't know. But I mumbled something that caught his attention because he knew I was cussing him out about something or other, and that's what got his attention. And that's the only way he realized who it was and stuff. But he said to look at me, they would never have been able to identify me just from the looks and stuff, because everybody said my head was swollen twice the normal size and just so bloody and just pitted with all the sandblasting and stuff. Totally unrecognizable. But anyways, after I got out of the hospital there and turned around and went to South Bend, and then they said they couldn't do the plastic surgery because of my dad's insurance won't cover it because it was an act of God. And I said, well, that's fine, leave it go, just, you know, do what you got to do and stuff, and just patch me back up. So that was pretty much it, and I was just in a daze for 6 months to a year because I had no idea what was going on. I got to go back up there at the truck stop probably well, I want to say a month after it happened, and the one part of the top of the building was a peak that had been sheared off from the restaurant itself and set right down on the ground, and it was sitting there by itself. And a friend of mine went up there and found a money bag full of money and stuff that he turned around and gave back to my dad. And the same friend went through and he found a bunch of old 45s that I had that hadn't been hurt at all and stuff, brought them back to me. And then of course I seen that there was 2 bar stools still sitting there at the restaurant itself, where the 2 bar stools was the only thing left standing in the whole place. And one thing that always puzzled my dad was there was a iron grill in there that had to weigh probably between 1 and 2 tons and stuff, just a cast iron grill. That thing totally disappeared and nobody ever found it. And we often wondered when they was building Speedway up there and you know, redoing the road and stuff, if they wouldn't uncover that in the ground someplace, but nobody ever found anything on that stuff. But yeah, that's kind of pretty much it and stuff, but it was pretty hard. But yeah, like I say, I was considered dead as far as all purposes.
So how many people did you know who lived in that trailer park at that time?
Quite a few. But another thing, at the time when the restaurant got blown away, the girls that were downstairs, they came out okay. But when the tornado was over, they found 3 or 4 bodies there that came from across the street where the houses had got hit, and those bodies had flew over. But the girls that were working there, the 2 waitresses and the one with her sister, they came out okay and stuff. But I knew quite a few of the people out of the trailer park at that time, but I don't know any of them that got killed as far as that goes. But like I say, for 6 months to a year, my head was just in a daze and stuff, and I didn't really realize what was going on. You know, I just total blacked out. It seemed like I didn't know anything. It was just everything was just fuzzy. So.
What happened with your mom?
She ended up going to the hospital, and I guess it didn't break her back, but it really sprained her back, and she was in kind of bad shape. And she ended up dying in 1972, but I don't think it was a result of the tornado or anything like that, but it didn't help any. I mean, it added more problems to it because she died of cancer, but I don't think the tornado was part of the problem. And of course, like I say, with my brother Mike and stuff, he drove that Cadillac all the way into town with 4 flat tires trying to get to my dad and stuff. And then, of course, I guess my dad found out that night. He heard that I was dead, and of course, he had thought his wife was dead. So he was kind of shook up. And then my youngest brother, Steve, he was staying with a friend over at Twin Pines Trailer Park at the time. So once he got the youngest boy and my brother Mike together, then found out where my mom was, and then they finally, within a day or so, realized where I was at in the hospital. So.
Well, because communication was different back then.
Oh yeah, well, no cell phones and stuff, and most of the phone service was totally out and stuff. So, like I say, I was out 5 days, and I have no idea what all was going on during that time. And when I did finally come around, I barely knew anything that was going on. You know, I just totally screwed up.
So did you ever go and see the trailer park after the tornado?
Oh yeah, because we lived out there and stuff. Right after I got home and stuff, they had brought in some of those cheapo trailers that they built real quick just to throw up there and stuff. And so the one that my mom and dad had, I ended up buying that from them right away because they turned around and bought a better one. And so that's where I lived up until the time we got married, and that went on until I guess 1972 when I finally got divorced from her and stuff. But yeah, I stayed out there the whole time, and then of course I was there quite a while after that.